after the class. It's okay today. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Bhagava Girivaranari Gopi Jana Bhagava Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Natira Vandachari Natira Vandachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vandachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, 9th Canto, Chapter 18, text 30. Canto 9, chapter 18, text 30. Oh, sorry. The chapter is called King Yayati Regains His Youth. Okay, so we chant the Sanskrit. Anushaya sutam datva sahas shamishtayo shana tam aharajan sharmishtam adas tape nakarhichit Anushaya sutam tatva saha sharmishtayo shana tam aharajan sharmishtam adas tope nakarhichit Anushaya sutam tatva saha sharmishtayo shana tam aharajan sharmishtam adas tope nakarhichit Anushaya sutam datva saha sharmishtayo shana aharajan sharmishtam tape nakarhichit Anushaya sutam datva saha shamishtayo shana aharajan shamishtam adas tape nakarhichit Anushaya sutam datva Sahas Sankayosana Maharajan Charmishtam Adas Tape Nakarhichit Anushaya Sutam Gatva Saha Shamishtayo Shana Maharajan Shamishtam Alastape Nakarhichit Anushaya Sutam Gatva Saha Shamishtayo Shana Maharajan Sharmishtam Arastape Nakarhichit Anushaya Sutam Datva Saha Shamishtayo Shana Maharajan Charmishtam Haraskapena Karnichit. Anyone else? Word for word synonyms. Shaya unto King Yayati, the descendant of Nahusha. Sutam, his daughter. Dattva, giving in marriage. Saha, with. Samishtaya, Samishta, the daughter of Vrishaparva and servant of Devayani. Ushana, Sukracharya, Tam, unto him, King Yayati. Aha, said, Rajan, my dear king, Sharmishtam, Sharmishta, the daughter of Vrishaparva. Adaha, allow, talpe, on your bed, na, not, karhichit, at any time. Translation. When Sukracharya gave Devayani in marriage to Yayati, he had Samishta go with her. But he warned the king, my dear king, never allow this girl Samishta to lie with you in your bed. There's no translation. We'll read the next verse. O King Parikshit, upon seeing Devayani with a nice son, Samishta once approached King Yayati at the appropriate time for conception. In a secluded place, she requested the king, the husband of her friend Devayani, to enable her to have a son also. When Princess Samishta begged King Yayati for a son, the king was certainly aware of the principles of religion, and therefore he agreed to fulfill her desire. Although he remembered the warning of Sukracharya, he thought of this union as the desire of the Supreme, and thus he had sex with Samishta. Srila Prabhupada's purport. King Yayati was completely aware of the duty of a kshatriya. When a kshatriya is approached by a woman, he cannot deny her. This is a religious principle. Consequently, when Dharmaraj, Yudhisthira, saw Arjuna unhappy after Arjuna returned from Dwarka, he asked whether Arjuna had refused a woman who had begged for a son. Although Maharaj Yayati remembered Sukracharya's warning, he could not refuse Samishta. He thought it wise to give her a son, and thus he had sexual intercourse with her after her menstrual period. This kind of lust is not against religious principles. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 11, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. Sex life, not contrary to the principles of religion, is sanctioned by Krishna. Because Samishta, the daughter of the king, had begged Yayati for a son, their combination was not lust, but was an act of religion. Omagyanatamiram Disha Vinajana Shirakaya Chakshuru Vilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave. So, Vedic culture, every varna and every ashram, there were so many religious principles to follow. No matter which varna you were in, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, there were various religious principles that you had to follow. And those religious principles allowed two things. One, it gave each varna a certain facility that would allow them to enjoy, and it would give them, but also there were certain duties or requirements based on those religious principles that they had to fulfill. Yes, and there's two things. There's a certain facility that allows them to enjoy, and there's also certain rules that you have to follow. So here, King Yayati, who's a Kshatriya, of course, he's a king, he's been advised not to lie down with Samishta on his bed, but she's requesting, and as a Kshatriya, he feels I have to, it's my religious duty to satisfy her. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that when Arjuna had returned from Dwarka, wasn't it? Arjuna was not happy. He was actually very despondent. So Maharaj Yudhisthira, when he saw Arjuna like that, he's inquiring, why are you so down? Why are you so despondent? Why are you so despondent? Why are you feeling so unhappy? Huh? Yudhisthira, yeah. Yudhisthira was asking Arjuna. And he said, is it possible that you, while you were away, some woman had asked you to give her a child and accept her, accepting her as your wife? Is that possible? Is that why you were despondent? I don't remember what Arjuna said, but I know he was despondent because he had gone to see Krishna's, what his next pastimes he was going to engage in, and he was, or Krishna was no longer on the planet at that point. Okay, and Arjuna. This is after the battle of Kurukshetra. Everything. This is the end of everything. So after Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna, to find out, okay, what other glorious pastimes are you going to be engaging in? What are you doing now? Because these are all devotees of Krishna. They want to serve him in some way. But when he went there, he found that Lord Krishna had already left this world. So that's what he was unhappy about. But in any case, to stay with the subject of this purport, each personality in the Vedic culture, they had certain, I say, rights and responsibilities. Rights means what things they do that would give them pleasure, things they can do, things they can enjoy, and then certain responsibilities that they have to fulfill also. And because of that, we don't hear or read about people whose nature was, say, a Vaishya or a Shudra. We don't read about them in Srimad-bhagavatam trying to become a Kshatriya or a Brahmana. It's not normally understood. Because, for example, someone might be a Shudra or a Vaishya, and they're thinking, oh, these Kshatriyas, they're very lucky. They can control so many people, the rulers. They can have so many wives. There's so much wealth. So one might have thought, in modern times at least, one might think, oh, someone's in that position, I want to have that position. But people didn't tend to do that because they understood that not only did they have the right to do certain things, but they also had big responsibilities. For example, the Kshatriya, he had that kind of facility, but he also had a responsibility to fight, to protect the innocent people, protect the innocent living entities, actually. if a Kshatriya was challenged to fight, then he had to fight. He couldn't just say, nah, go home, leave me alone. He couldn't do that. It's against religious principles. So this is going to time. This is going to be hard and taken out. Balaram, and this is going to be So say a Shudra, he would not think, I want this position of king because I know that if the time comes, I'm going to have to go to war. I'm going to have to fight. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have so many responsibilities that I really don't want to have to deal with. And the same thing, the Brahmanas were very austere, very austere people. So someone in a lower position in society, who were inclined towards that lower position, they didn't want the position of the Brahmanas because they were not qualified or capable of being austere and religious and so on. And it was not necessary because in Vedic culture, everyone acted according to their nature, and they performed religious principles so that they could gradually elevate themselves. Everyone knew that the purpose of life was ultimately to elevate yourself to ultimately for liberation and going back to the spiritual world. And everyone knew that this progression was not going to happen generally, it would not happen just in one lifetime. Because, of course, in Vedic culture, even the common person understood that I'm not this material body, I'm spirit soul. And the same principle, of course, applies. We are practicing Krishna consciousness now. We're not in really strict Vedic culture as we read about here. So in our practice of Krishna consciousness, there are some devotees that will be live as brahmachari, and there's some who live as grihastha. And it doesn't really matter what position, which you can be in this position or in that position. That doesn't really matter as far as becoming Krishna conscious. In the pastime of Gajendra in the Srimad-bhagavatam, this principle is at least one principle that is taught. Because Gajendra was an elephant, and he was a king of the elephants. He was a very high position. So of course, he had many she elephants, and they were enjoying bathing in the river or the lake. And they were, and so he was feeling, as we say, on top of the world. But then a big crocodile came and took a big bite out of his foot. And this was very, he was in the water, so the crocodile was in the water, and he clapped down on his foot, and he would not let go. So you can imagine being in that position when you cannot, you're in great pain, and you cannot defend yourself. So they fought, him and the crocodile fought for a very long time, but he could not get the crocodile off of it. But at some point, he remembered, because he was a devotee in his previous lifetime, and he remembered certain prayers, and he somehow offered those prayers to the Lord, and begged the Lord to save him. And then the Lord, of course, came and saved him from this situation. But anyway, the lesson, there may be multiple lessons, but one important lesson in that particular pastime is that we should, in practicing Krishna consciousness, we should be in a position that we are comfortable with. So if someone, say, is living as brahmachari, but is 24 hours a day thinking about being in association with women, then his mind's going to be agitated by that, and he will it'll simply be a distraction. Yeah, if someone is brahmachari, living as brahmachari, but his mind, he's not into it. So his mind is attracted to material enjoyment, basically. So if his mind is attracted like that, he can't satisfy his desires living as a brahmachari. So therefore, that person is better off to be married, have a wife, and have that facility. So whatever position we are, material position we are in society, the principle is that we should act according to that we should act according to our nature, what is comfortable for us, so that we can practice Krishna consciousness. That's the real point. So Srila Prabhupada in the early, especially in the early days of Krishna, of this movement, he was having some of his early followers who were not married, but who were living kind of together, men and women all together. So you want to live like that. So you live as grihasta. But Srila Prabhupada made it clear that if you want to practice, if you want to become Krishna conscious, it doesn't matter whether you're brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. It doesn't matter. You simply, in any case, you chant Hare Krishna, you preach about Krishna, you engage in devotional service, but you're living in the situation which you feel most comfortable with, so that you can. Your concentration, your mind can be fixed on the chanting of the holy names and preaching and so on. And then, just going back to the purport here, so Srila Prabhupada is mentioning how King Yayati, he's agreed to give Sarmishta a son, a child. But Srila Prabhupada says it's not, he's saying here that their combination was not lust, but an act of religion. Because of course the purpose for two ways of active religion. One, he was a kshatriya, and the religious principle is if he's requested by a woman for a child, then he's required as a kshatriya to satisfy that desire. And the other reason is, of course, that the purpose for the sexual relationship was for giving a child, not simply for just for sense gratification. Anyway, there's a couple points on these couple verses. Any questions, comments? No one? Okay. So then we'll end for today. Tomorrow we'll just continue with the Srimad-bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada.